Hey, I'm Jason Chapman, and I run a music store with my brothers, John and Jeremy.
People are always asking, what is it like to be in a family business? Well, I've been in a band with my family for the last 28 years.
And if that wasn't enough, we recently opened a music shop. Since opening the shop, we found that the people that come through the door are just about as unique as the instruments they carry.
And now, since they gave us a TV show,
we leave the cameras running, and there's always something going on at the shop.
Well, welcome back.
Thank you.
To another episode.
That was aggressive.
To another episode of the Ozark Music Shop. This week we got a local bluegrass legend and a vintage instrument connoisseur. Guru.
I like guru.
Possibly.
can you say, is that like
Guru.
Is that
How about
French?
a guru-seur? He's a connoisseur and a guru.
Is it like a carnosaur or?
No, guru-seur. He's our guru-seur
What
here.
that means is every time we have a question about some vintage instrument, we don't know what it is. We say, Frank, what is this? We take a picture of it, send it to him, and he goes, oh, I've seen those. I've owned 20 of them.
Yeah, I got 3 of those in my garage right now.
So that's why he's our guru.
That's right.
But he's also kind of a bluegrass guru. He's played for years in this area, had a music store, played internationally, always put together great bands. And
Yeah, pretty much every musician from this area in bluegrass has played with Frank Ray and Cedar Hill.
So would you call him a guru, maybe?
I guess you could call him
A guru-seur mentor. Mentor guru-seur.
That sounds gooey. I don't know.
Gurator.
I think.
Anyway, whatever
just
you
a
want to
Frank
call
Ray.
him. Mr. Frank Ray was here at the shop.
right.
Had a great time talking to him about instruments. They played a few songs for us. And how about you guys watch it?
That's a good idea.
Be prepared to be guru-sure.
Frank Ray and Cedar Hill.
Got my bow back in the van. Don't know where I'm headed for. I got a thing about doors. Thing you have to understand. I've always been a traveling man. In fact, I knew they before. I got a thing about doors. I got a thing about doors. When I'm in, I wanna be out. When I'm out, I wanna be in. That's just the way I've always been. I got a thing about doors. I don't mean to be a bore, but it's like I said before, so I'll say it one time more. I got a thing about doors. That I go very far. Sometimes I don't get to the car. If I ain't need it anymore, I get a thing about doors. I got a thing about doors. When I'm in, I wanna be out. When I'm out, I wanna be in. That's just the way I've always been. I got a thing about doors. I don't mean to be bored, but it's like I said before, so I'll say it one time more. I got a thing about doors. And it's like I said before, so I'll say it one time more. I got a thing about doors.
back. We have a very special guest here on the Ozark Music Shop, Mr. Frank Ray, legendary. This guy right here, and bluegrass legend. And,
we're already
really,
off track.
well, we're glad to have you in here, seriously, because it has been. You've been here from the beginning, right after we started the shop, and you came in and helped us out with some stuff. What's amazing about Frank is, yes, bluegrass legend. You've been doing this for quite a long time, but also big into the vintage instruments and. Every instrument I've ever talked to you about, you're like, yeah, I've had one of those.
Yeah. I call him up and say, hey, I got this banjo in front of me, and it has this, oh yeah, here's what it is.
That's the way it always goes.
What?
I've seen you bring in some amazing, we had an event here, you had some great Les Pauls that you brought in, and it brought you, I mean, you've been originally from the St. Louis area, is that correct?
South of St. Louis, yeah.
And so that got you tied in with all the vintage instrument. You actually got to know Mel Bay pretty well and hung out with him.
Yeah, that was awesome. It really was.
I'll bet.
He was a character. I mean, not to mention a player extraordinaire, but he was a character. And he used to golf when I had my store. He golfed on a golf course down near where my store was, and he stopped in, to check out the music store in town, and we struck up a real good friendship. And he loved to talk. He loved to tell stories, and I loved to listen to him. And it was through Mel that I got, really learning, about the nice arches. And that was back when arch tops were really, a prize, and they still are, but
It's just there were a lot more players. The jazz scene was a lot bigger,
right,
and you had a lot more people that had attention for
and,
that.
and Mel had sold a good many around the St. Louis area, so I was a benefactor of that as well. And a lot of good guitars. But Mel was.
He's talking about a guy though that told stories and helped us out with, getting us in around. This is what I've turned Frank into, is our official Mel Bay. Frank tells the stories, and then I learned so much because I remember when we started the store, one of the things you did is just, I want to show you a little something about carrying around old vintage instruments. So these buckles aren't so good on these cases, so when you do it, make sure the lid is facing your leg.
Yeah.
And he showed me this whole idea of making sure the lid's facing your leg, that way it doesn't fall. And he says, Mel Bay taught me that. That's when I know. That's when I knew this is the guy I need to hang out with.
That's exactly right. Mel was the one who told me that. Cause, hey boy, don't carry that like that.
3, 2, 1.
This all started with a passion. Music has been a part of our lives for as long as I can remember.
Our goal from the start was to have an outlet where we could feel that passion in others.
At the Acoustic Shop, this is not just what we do, it's who we are.
When I really got the vintage bug, like I said, I was always curious, but when I really got it was, I got my first lure in '67, but before there was a lure, I didn't have any idea. Nobody did, hardly. But then, as I come out and I found out, hey, my mandolin got a name in there. It says lure, and so I just got the bug and started loving old instruments. Then I could hear the difference, in the dry tone of a good old D28, versus a new one, and you're playing, especially on mandolins. You compare that lure to a '60s Ep5, and holy cow, So there's something to the vintage thing, the old thing.
And for you that don't know what we're talking about with the lure, we're talking about Lloyd Lore. Lloyd Lore was hired in to work at the Gibson factory and kind of redesigned a lot of things. He was kind of he was an innovator. And then the mandolins have become, that era when he was in there working on those mandolins, redesigning things, trying out new deals. That era has become the ultimate for most mandolin collectors, and almost everything that's built
basically
nowadays
the Stradivarius
is built off
of
of that.
mandolins. And,
Right.
and like you're saying at that time, I know even when we were starting out, there was a few Lloyd Lures around, and they were still, maybe 14,000, and we thought, man, that's crazy. Somebody would pay 14,000 for a mandolin, and then they'd start gradually going up, 20,000, 30, 40.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
now they're Cost a couple $100,000.
There was a time, when you almost couldn't pay too much for one. I mean, 'cause, you pay the high price, and then, a few months it'd be higher than that.
That's exactly right.
But,
I don't know how you feel about this, but this is something that we've discussed a lot of times. Everybody talks about a golden age of instruments. I personally think we're actually probably in the golden age of instruments right now.
I agree.
I think
agree,
better
John.
instruments are probably being made
By
more
more people.
consistently by more people than that. You had smaller areas of builders like Lloyd Lohr.
I totally agree with that. I mean, I think, down the road when these guitars and mandolins, when these things dry out and really, it's not just about drying out. I mean, the parts actually marry, and
Yes.
they, the sides and the back and the top and the tone bars and the tailpiece and the tuners, and all of it, and over time, they vibrate a little better together, and a little better together, and a little better together.
Yeah.
I always tell people, your guitar or your mandolin has to learn to quit being a tree.
Yeah, there you go. That's exactly right. That's exactly right, John.
That wood's got to learn how to flex.
Yeah,
It's got to
that's
move,
right.
and it takes a lot of
That's
time to make that
exactly
happen.
right. To me, like if I had to pick a year right now, I'd pick 1937. But even those are going to be surpassed. In my opinion.
In time, I think
Yeah.
they're building things very similar to that. So it's got the time, like you said, the marriage of the instruments and how they the woods and the pieces and parts all have to kind of come together.
Yeah, yeah.
It's
pretty
very
exciting.
cool. Yeah, it is. If you ever see Frank at a show or anything, tons of knowledge. I think he's a complete wealth of knowledge. Spend some time with him, listen to him. I've learned so much. I think it's a good thing for a lot of people to do, whether it's instruments, whether it's the music. We appreciate all your help, and I appreciate you stopping by with a band. Thank you so much for being here, Frank.
Thank you, John, Jeremy, Jason. It's an honor. I really enjoyed it, and I've enjoyed watching your shop grow. It really it does me good. To see. There probably never was a musician that didn't want to have a music store. But not a lot of them make it. But I really have enjoyed seeing you guys grow, and
we appreciate all the
you're
help.
doing some good here in Springfield. I think people, you're bringing a lot of people together and teaching these lessons.
Yeah, we're enjoying it.
Yeah. Well, it's a good thing.
Again, thanks for coming by, Frank. We do appreciate it.
Hope we do it
Thank
again.
you, buddy.
Thank you. 3, 4, 1.
High five.
Oh, big high five.
Run all that. I'm just standing there with a high
Dude,
five at the end.
laughing.
Hey, this is Jeremy. Once again, we're talking about some of the cool gear we get in the shop. That's one of the biggest benefits of having a music shop is all the cool instruments that walk through the door. And this one, I was very excited when it came through. A customer came in asking us to look this over. Her grandfather had given this to her when she was about 14 years old, and she never learned to play it, but she still had it in really good condition. It had a tailpiece put on it that was not original to the guitar, so we got it back to original specs right now. But a very cool instrument. This is a 1896 style 17.
1896 Martin guitar, style 17. Has a gorgeous Brazilian rosewood on the back and the sides, a spruce top, small body guitar. These are really small, at a 12 fret body, but it still had the original bar frets in it. Very cool slot head here that has a stamp on the back, not unlike a lot of the later Martin guitars that came out in the 30s, 20s, 30s, but this one, a little bit different. It's actually stamped New York. A lot of people didn't know that they used to stamp a lot of these as New York. Originally, the Martin shop was actually a violin shop out of New York. They moved to Pennsylvania by the time they did this, but they were still stamping them because they were distributing them to a store that was based out of New York, and it was kind of a more popular place to be out of than Pennsylvania.
Yeah, it sounded a little bit more impressive to say out of New York, but we're just really excited she brought it to the shop, and we're going to have it on display at the shop for people to come see some of the early early Martin history.
Yeah, it's really cool. We stuck a mirror down on the inside of this, and what's really kind of unique about this is all the old builders actually would sign it, and it was dated in 1896. I think it was November.
I think August of 1896. So before they assembled the guitar, they'd have the top done, and then they signed the top, and then they'd put the top on the guitar. So it has the signature of the original builder on the inside of the guitar, which is very cool too, and a nice script.
We don't have the original case for this, but if it had the original case, very cool as well. I had a mohair interior.
They called them coffin cases because they looked like they were built like coffins. And while we're reading up on this guitar, something that was also interesting is most builders that built the guitar would also build the case that went with it. So the same guy that built your guitar built the coffin case that went with it.
He probably built his own coffin too.
He might have just went ahead and did that just to be safe.
Just to be ready. It looked just like a Martin case at the time. But these are really, really cool. Great sounding guitar. We've been blown away with how much volume this particular guitar has. For such a small little guy, really, really came out there. And it's kind of cool to see one in this good a condition. Like you said, the tailpiece had been replaced because the bridge kind of started pulling apart. This is not the original bridge to it. We had one built for it. But it had pulled up enough that somebody decided, in the 50s probably, 40s, 50s, to put a metal, inexpensive tailpiece, so it ran a screw down in the bottom end of here.
Which actually probably preserved the top a little bit, because it kept that top from pulling back any farther or cracking anymore. It put all the weight and tension on the end of it. Originally, these were probably most likely a nylon string guitar or a very light steel, which is what we got on here, a silken steel. So not meant to hold a lot of tension, but you're still, like I said, getting a lot of volume out of this small body.
Absolutely. I think it even still has the ivory nut, which is
that is pretty cool.
Pretty cool. So,
Martin's built over 2 million guitars now, and this had to have been one of the early 1,000 probably that they had built, or somewhere around that amount, I would imagine, in 1896. So pretty cool to see something this early and to see how good the workmanship was in that time with the tools they were using. These inlay patterns are so tight. I was really blown away with how well they were building these even way back in the 1800s.
Totally true. So thank you for viewing this particular episode. We enjoy sharing really cool gear, and I hope you guys do too. And we look forward to seeing you all again.
That was awful.
If you're looking for an acoustic instrument, the Acoustic Shop is the place you want to go. The Acoustic Shop, we've been open about 4 years now and have been nominated Top 100 Dealer at NAMM Show for 2 years now.
At the Acoustic Shop, we mainly focus on acoustic music instruments and the accessories that go with them. Guitars, mandolins, banjos, basses, and accessories, and the lessons and repairs that go along with those. It's something that we've been passionate about for the last 28 years of our lives, playing in a family band growing up. Then we opened a all-acoustic music store in Missouri to help fill the needs of people that are more focused on just that niche of the genre.
With us having all those years on the road, it's really helped us to find the right instrument for the right person. When somebody calls us or comes into the shop, we can actually talk to them and know exactly what kind of instrument would be the best fit for them. And I think that's just something that we bring that a lot of people can't.
Started out teaching lessons before we even opened the shop, so that is something that has been a passion of ours for the last 15 years.
I believe we've said this is where the pros teach, and I truly believe this is where the pros teach.
At the Acoustic Shop, this isn't just what we do, this is who we are.
So if you're wanting to learn how to play the banjo, the fiddle, the mandolin, guitar, the Acoustic Shop's the place for you.
We call prison boys all around.
It's you.
No, it was you.
you.
For me. Welcome back to the end of the Ozark Music Shop.
That is
This
so
episode.
It's a
weird.
really weird way to phrase that.
I'm trying to think of something different to say, and it is the end of the show, and I want to welcome the folks
If you want
back.
something different to say Aardvark.
That works too, but I think
It makes about as much sense as what you said.
applicable. Anyway, Frank Ray, that was a great
it was
show.
fun.
It was.
We had a lot of fun talking with Frank. He comes by the shop now and then, and we get to talk to him. And you don't get to watch, but you got to watch this time, and that is special.
Pretty much the same conversation. But
Yes.
it was a little,
A lot of Jeremy going, well, tell me more about that instrument right there, because I don't even know about it. And it's a mandolin. Guess what, Jeremy? 8 strings. They're tuned like a violin.
It always tricks me every time I see it.
anyway, great honor to have Frank in here. We appreciate him doing that and the rest of the band coming down after a long day at Silver City.
Yeah, and
they were
you know
down there
what?
playing.
Coincidentally, they're our lead sponsor for the show, so
Silver
that worked
City
out
is?
magically.
You're kidding me.
Yeah, no, it's
I already knew
absolutely
that.
true.
It's awesome to have Silver City. Great company, great folks to work with, and we're so proud to have them on, helping us bring this show to you. So check them out, like them, and while you're liking them on Facebook and YouTube, go ahead and click on over to the Ozark Music Shop.
Oh, you got an extra like in you, don't you?
Yeah.
At least 1 or 2.
And you know what would be great? Invite all your friends, too.
And after you do that, sit around the house and wait for us because we're going to be back next Sunday.
Yeah, I wouldn't go anywhere if I were you. Just
Don't go
sit
anywhere.
there.
You're going to miss your spot.
That's right.
Get in line at the watch party.
Line, brother.
We'll see you there next week. Closed captioning and other considerations provided by